Hello, and welcome to another episode of playing Crusader Kings 3 on the hardest possible rule set. The last episode we talked quite a bit about how early on in the game the HRE had been surprisingly stable, but now 50 years in, it's lost Germany to the Cumans. The Almoravids over here have taken Lotharingia and Burgundy, and it really looks like the HRE is probably not long for this world. Obviously poses a big problem for us, since it's possible that the next target of the Cumans could very well be us in Bohemia. They also have options to attack Bavaria, but I've done a good job of actually building up the development here. It very well could determine that Bohemia is a wealthier kingdom, more worth taking than Bavaria or Italy, I think, if they can reach that. And so I'm very concerned that we would be the next target for the Cumans when their truce with the HRE comes up. Find where that is. Yeah. So they just finished their invasion of Germany, so have almost 5 years before that would happen. And so I think our best move here is to try to become independent and then actually swear fealty, become a vassal of the Cumans. From that position, we'd be able to take Poland, these parts of it, which you may remember a couple episodes ago, we had conquered all of Poland, only to lose it when the Cumans or Khazars invaded. Also would give us the opportunity to expand into Germany, which again is now part of the Cuman or Khazar Empire. It's curious whether, and currently no one holds the Kingdom of Germany title, so I think that's something that we could really expand our power, is becoming a vassal of the Cumans, taking over the kingdoms of Germany and Poland, seeing what happens with the Almoravids over here, and really proceed to build up our base that way, and then just wait for opportunities with the Cumans where, if a ruler dies, the successor doesn't get the Scourge Conqueror trait, then we have an opportunity to break away or otherwise somehow gain power even over the Cuman Empire. And so I think this is, and eventually it may take a while, but we would presumably get enough power to even challenge a Cuman Scourge Conqueror, if we were able to get, at a minimum, we'd want to get the men-at-arms tech here. That increases our size of our regiments, gives us another regiment, probably also advanced bow making, which gives us crossbowmen, which are a counter to archer cavalry. Unsurprisingly, the Cumans have a lot of archer cavalry. So we're looking long term here. One of the best advantages of the player versus the AI is the ability to look long term. And so I think our best bet is become independent with the goal of becoming a vassal of the Cumans and starting to conquer in Central and Eastern Europe. The only real downside I see to that is over here with the Almoravids. We see both the Almoravid ruler and the ruler of the Cumans are getting up there, both over 70. Both have some elder traits, including particularly fragile bones that takes years off your life. And so the worst result of the plan I just laid out would be the Cuman ruler dies and his heir takes over, and for whatever reason the heir doesn't get the Scourge Conqueror trait or loses it early on, while the heir of the Almoravids over here manages to keep the Scourge Conqueror trait. The Almoravids could just plow through Central and Eastern Europe, potentially taking our lands. So that's something really to be cognizant if that happens. But I think that's something we would just have to address down the line. The bigger threat is 5 years from now, the Cumans may very well attack us, take all our land, cause us to become landless, and we really don't want to do that after we've been spent so much time, 50 years now, building up our domain here so that we could get ready to conquer territories and eventually face off against scourge conquerors. So given all that, we are going to create an independence faction. Very likely that no one else will join us, but you see here that we already have 136 faction military power, so you're well above his. We'll just wait the 9 months and then send it out. Because it's an independence faction, the war goal will become possession of our capital, meaning that he will have to come and attack us, so the fights will be on our ground. We'll likely hire at least one special mercenary, basically one of the landless adventurers to come help us, and go from there. I think we should be able to win this independence war pretty handedly. See if anything else you want to do. There is a grand tournament, which we talked about those before. Those are very useful. I really hope to start attending them, but we're simply too late for that one. I guess we could go pay homage to Kaiser Heinrich, somewhat ironically, really just to get more renown, no other reason. Right, he's up in Berlin. So I think let's do that. Renown is very difficult to get. It's good to get it whenever you can. So you start with that, and then we can look at other options. Lost our caravan master. This guy looks good. We might have a court event, but we don't. There we go, 75 renown. So obviously not a huge amount, but still some. Also some diplomacy experience. So our new wife is bearing our first child, which is good. Have some backups and options compared to our eldest son, who is quite good in his own right. Grand tours are great to hold, but you do want, okay, yeah, this should work. Before, when we looked, I think we only had like 2 vassals available, which really just isn't enough. But I think, with 5, that should work. And we'll leave these 2. Often we cut them down to 1 to save money, but let's leave them where they are now. Hopefully we'll gather up enough. See, don't really like laying with these women that are offered to us, because they could give us a secret that other people get hooks on us, or also be disclosed and cause us to lose levels of devotion. We want high levels of devotion if we're thinking about attacking people, because that would help the Pope give us claims. So we're going to decline that. So one thing that's interesting but not necessarily surprising is that often when you start a faction against your liege, the liege might try to give you money, give you titles, give you court positions, put you on the council if you're already not. And that may seem like, oh gee, why our liege is so dumb, why is he doing that? But of course, looking at it from the other side, as a player, when you have rebellious vassals that are joining factions that could eventually fire against you, what do? Well, you give them money. You might give them titles. You might give them positions. The exact same thing. So I think it does make sense for our liege to be giving us the regency here. The issue is, he just can't know that we're set on our course of action. There's nothing he can do to benefit us. I assume this is a temporary regency. Yeah, so if it's an entrenched one, we could try to take some money from our other vassals. Here, looks like on net, probably the top option is the best one to take. Even though the persistent misspelling here always annoys me. It should be Elusive, but anyway, don't want to be too pedantic. But I did get this number of stress. Again, don't really want to have someone become my rival, even though if it gives me more stress. Um, you lose stress each time you have to stop at a grand tour, so we should be able to get rid of the stress we just gained. We also saw very importantly that we fulfilled our coronation oath. This is the ensured peace oath, extremely powerful. We get ensured peace. Really the top line there is really says it all. That's why we picked it. Domain limit +1. We have a very small domain limit because we are playing on the hardest settings, which includes a -3 domain limit for the player only. So any domain limit we can get is amazing. Also getting 250 development growth in every realm county also is extremely powerful. For this one, 100% chance, and we lose some stress, so definitely take that option. We always want tribute. Uh-oh. Okay. So, fortunately, we have our first Black Death, which looks like it happened in the Italy, Burgundy area. So very unfortunate that it pops up while we're traveling. We are playing with unlimited Black Deaths on random, so they can happen at any time. Not much to be done. We want to make sure our physician, he is excellent, so there's nothing we can't prove on him. We want to make sure he's on plague resistance. We will want to isolate our capital as soon as that becomes available. And also when we get back home, we want to enter seclusion, and then we're probably just going to be sitting there for a while. So as we do that, we'll probably also want to still have our independence faction fire. Let's see how close we are. Now 15 months. That's okay. So we will be... Hopefully we don't get caught out here and die from the Black Plague while we're doing our grand tour. Obviously just bad timing, especially for it to be so close. Often the Black Death starts out in the east, but not this time around. The Black Death, obviously it's can be very damaging, can wipe out your entire family, your heirs, whoever. But it can also be a time of opportunity because it can kill off some of these scourge conquerors, kill off their families, kill off their heirs. Maybe a child takes over, causes them to lose the scourge conqueror trait. Lots of things could possibly happen. For this one, I usually take poet just because I like having traits, like having more diplomacy. So we'll give this a chance, and we did get it. And we want tribute. Another son who does not have any traits, which is unfortunate. We'll see if our wife has some more sons, ideally with traits, before deciding whether to educate this one or not. Here, getting the back payments in gold sounds good, even though he refuses. Pick the option that causes us to lose some stress. I guess we didn't have any stress, so. Okay. It's best just to keep the secret about him to ourselves. Again, he's quite old and in poor health, so he's likely to die. We can see that the Black Death is spread all around. We're kind of in the eye of the storm here. but we definitely want to take the opportunity to isolate our capital, get some more plague resistance. We cannot enter seclusion because we're traveling. So for that one, there's nothing to do except wait until we get back home. Just to look to see if it's worth trying to steal some gold. Maybe we'll try that right before we trigger the independence faction. So of course, here is the event for the first Black Death. Here, just want to pick whatever has the highest chance of success. And we already have an excellent personal physician, so really no need to replace him, especially with someone inferior to him. Really just want to get home as soon as possible from this Grand Tour. Then we can enter seclusion and hopefully not die the Black Death. And I guess we can just give him that as such a poor quality artifact. One of the barons in our counties died, probably for the Black Death. We don't want to have that affecting our domain limit. So now we can see that the Black Death is fully in our realm. We do have some hospices, such as in our in Prague, in our capital. So we actually have a pretty good plague resistance there. So we really want to get back home and take advantage of that plague resistance. Black Death also substantially reduces control. So we'll have our Marshal, even though he's terrible, he's our powerful vassal, so that's why he's a counselor here. I'll have him work on trying to restore that control. Here, I don't think I really care about popular opinion, rather save the gold and get more gold. So our last stop was with someone who does in fact have the bubonic plague. So now we just get to go straight home, which is good. And we did still, check before I say that, yes, we did still max out our taxation tour success, which is very important. So let's just hope we make it home. There we go. 450 renown, which is great. And again, very strong modifier here. Magnificent liege for 20 years. So our marshal died. I think we're at the point where we can probably install good characters. If we start getting factions from our vassals, we can change that. Now we will definitely want to enter seclusion. Obviously it has a bunch of negative effects, but also has the positive effect of reducing the chance of infection. So that is why we do it. The only other good part about the Black Death starting so close to us is that we should be one of the first regions where it finishes as well. You can see it's still traveling through the world, and in India it hasn't even hit China yet. So these other places are going to have to deal with the Black Death and continue dealing with it after it's hopefully gone from our lands. At this point, we don't want to travel to any events or host them. We're really just going to be sitting here. So again, my general strategy on building baronies is I only want one temple, and then I want an even number of castles versus cities, but I build castles first. So let's go ahead and build that castle. Here, we already have same thing. We have 2 cities and 2 castles. Let's build the castle. And that will, mean that we have constructions at every barony in our domain. So we're really running out of things to build, which gets to the point, well, that's not good. So obviously our excellent personal physician just died from the plague. Replace him with this guy who's an erudite oracle, 25 learning. Hopefully he can get it done. We'll automate the antiquarian, probably automate some of this other stuff as well. For a lot of these, it doesn't really matter. Maybe we get a jester. Just to help us lose stress while we're secluded and waiting for the Black Death to blow over. Already killed over 750 characters and very rapidly rising. So our mother died, which gave us a lot of stress. Let's work off some of that stress. And again, talking about before that, Kaiser Heinrich would likely try to do things to prevent us from, firing this independence faction. So he made us his royal architect. Also makes sense given our incredibly high stewardship. But unfortunately for him, there's really nothing he could do to prevent us from wanting to leave his realm and join the Cumans for all the reasons discussed earlier. Just curious if either of them had bubonic plague, and at least not yet. I think as Scourge Conquerors, they get a large bonus to avoiding plagues and to bonus to their health, even if they do get a plague. So we will press our demands here, and again, it should be that he has to come to us and take our capital is the war goal. Okay, he is going to fight us. Don't believe we can call in any allies. I guess we could call in this house member. It doesn't cost anything to call in house members. To call in dynasty members, it costs renown, which is very painful because renown is quite difficult to get. So we'll call in him. We will also see about getting these special mercenaries, just very powerful here. I think we will bring them in as well. I'm hoping that will be enough. For us to be victorious. You see, we just increased +1 from the war score from held objectives. That's again because our capital is the objective. So he has to come to us, come fight us on our territory. And he did. Okay. Looks like our daughter probably has bubonic plague. raise our armies, and then we'll see if we need to hire any additional mercenaries. It says here we ought to be okay. Yep. Okay, so here's our son, our current designated heir. Thankfully, he got 4-star brilliant strategist. Again, he has 3 strong personality traits, the same ones that I have now currently. He's intelligent. Got rough terrain expert, not terribly useful. He's already a traveler. He's already a hostile looter, maybe from one of my acclaimed knights. So again, very strong character. Wish he could be a genius, but that's that. You'll see, you really want to be able to marry him to someone who's either intelligent or a genius. Obviously, I do see some intelligent characters, though no genius ones. I assume, yeah, okay. Could be there are just no genius ones available. Let's look at the intelligent characters. So this is someone of our dynasty, obviously quite young. This first woman is very attractive because she has a very high martial, which means, when he goes to war, we can switch her to chivalry, and that she can really support him. She's 6 years older. Doesn't have great personality traits, but I still think this is probably the best move. So we will have them get married. Looks like our battle against Kaiser is going well. Yeah, we lost 600, but he lost almost 2,000, so clearly a pure victory for us. We want to be stationed somewhere where we are within supply limits. So the King of Poland wants to marry our sister. So certainly that would be helpful. We'd call him into our war immediately. What gives me pause is once I joined the Cumans as their vassal, I was thinking about Poland as my very first area of conquest. Obviously, if we had an alliance with him, who's this populist leader, we wouldn't be able to do that. I think we can just accept this alliance, and we'll find areas to target elsewhere. Okay, looks like Germany's already made my one. Okay, so let's stop here and take another look. So the Almoravid Scourge Conqueror is still alive, but presumably in peasant revolt. He lost France, Lotharingia, and Burgundy. These latter two, of course, are core kingdoms of the HRE. You also see that he had conquered England and is holding that for the moment. He's continuing to attack people even as he's losing territory. We also see that the Cumans have lost Poland. They've also lost parts of Germany. And also we see the Almoravids have lost, they had previously had all these 3 kingdoms in the Anatolia Peninsula. And so again, when you talk about the Black Death, it's easily a time of opportunity because what we saw here is people trying to control lands that have a different religion, religion hostile to theirs, and they're all breaking away, led now by these populist leaders, peasant leaders. I don't think that changes anything we want to do. We can, once we become independent, we could just be independent for a little while and see how things shake out between the Cumans and the Almoravids. I still think probably the play is going to be to become a vassal of the Cumans, but I don't know now. But I think becoming independent is not going to hurt us. I mean, we could if we wanted. We could always just rejoin the HRE. I think that's highly unlikely. So our daughter, who is the Queen of Sicily, actually recovered from the bubonic plague. It's quite rare to see someone who does not have a uh, body strength trait, like hale, robust, Herculean, get the bubonic plague and recover. Though she's a mastermind philosopher, she could have had whole of body. That would do it. Though she's only 18, so that isn't feasible. Anyway, things are just random sometimes. We'll get this courier. We will bring Poland into our war. Looks like Heinrich is calling in some allies, so we want to keep an eye on this Hungarian army. Quite likely want to go down and attack it, cause it to retreat back into Hungary before it joins up, up here with the HRE forces. Check to see if there's anything else we want to build. There is not. See, some of our allies are arriving. I think we should be in very good shape. Daughter who is intelligent, so that's good. The HRE, or the Hungarians, seem to be taking the long way around to get to the HRE troops. We'll take War Profiteer to try to cut down on the deficit. That's unfortunately occurring because of the Black Death, destroying our development control. I think we ought to. Don't want to attack them over a river and into a mountain. Let's get closer over there and see. Okay, well, if he's coming to our territory, that is great. Definitely want to attack him here if they're dumb enough to come this way. Yep. Okay. See, we have very significant advantage. You can see that we have a +10 from very hard, except that we don't actually have that. The reason that is showing up for us is because an AI, particularly the King of Poland, is leading the troops, and on the very hard difficulty, AI rulers get +10 advantage when leading their own troops. Looks like this Polish ruler is just quite good martial character, so glad we married off our older sister to have him as an ally. Looks like we had just stacked wipe the HRE Emperor. Yep, so he has no more armies. So we just sit here and wait. Do wonder now about disbanding our own armies to save money. I think we will in fact do that. We should be able to raise them pretty quickly if Charles shows up with more armies. Not Charles, but the Holy Roman Emperor Heinrich. Lost our royal architect that we probably will want to have to help rebuild the development in Prague. Our tutor is at a significant drop in his capability. Really want to get an excellent tutor if we can. Probably see about that after this war ends. Certainly don't want to end capital isolation yet. Don't want to leave our capital at all. Happy to improve our knight. Does he have? Excellent. So he has Vanguard. This will give us more heavy infantry and also open up the retinue Vanguard, which are very powerful heavy infantry. So definitely want him to go down that Vanguard route. Brother is not married. Have him unlikely to have any children, but have him marry this intelligent peasant. Now we're just waiting for our war score to tick up. Hopefully our allies can go defeat the Hungarians, get some more war score. If they don't, no big deal. Guess the HRE brought in the Sardinian king. Don't really see a reason for that marriage since it doesn't result in an alliance. But we will see if we can find a wife with good genetic traits for our nephew here. That woman is Herculean. That certainly fits the bill. You see the Hungarians entering our territory. They're being chased by our allies. Don't think we need to raise our armies. Our allies are going to beat up the Hungarians, which is all very good. Some of our rivals died from the bubonic plague. Plague has now killed almost 5,000 characters. Quite the number. I don't really think I think we'll just take this option, some minor benefits, no cost of gold. The counselor died just from being old. Let's assign a good counselor. We want to get our development in Prague back up. Our development in Prague used to be, I think it was like 37. Now you see it's collapsed to 10. We will extort our subjects to keep our money up. I don't care too much about our courtiers' opinion of us. We will take as much money as we can from them, which isn't that much. See, unfortunately, we're losing gold even without our armies being raised. Again, not much to do about that. Looks like our allies are more interested in sieging than in attacking the Hungarians. So we will have to raise our own armies to do that. Which will be quite expensive. Now we're really running a massive deficit. But we do want to get these Hungarians out of here. Hopefully this will end the war. We explode a couple of these castles that are now off. We'll also switch our seneschal to manage domain. Get a caravan master who is not our son, since sometimes caravan masters will die in events. We certainly don't want our oldest son to die. Since he is quite a good character, maybe we get someone better, but probably not, frankly. Just four more points before we finish this off. I'm going to disband. Don't want to become a rival, and we don't really want to get any more domain, given that we're already one over domain limit, so just let it go. Don't think this small number of, I assume that's the Danish troops is going to be able to do anything before we hit 100, which we just did. And there we go. So we pay these mercenaries. Let's take a look. We're not currently sharing a border with any scourge conquerors. Obviously the Cumans are closest. I think we just wait, monitor the situation, and just actually be independent for a little while. Okay, very big news. Almoravids. They were one of the big scourge conquerors to our west. See that their ruler has died, and the ruler who's taken over, for whatever reason, does not have the scourge conqueror trait. And again, that's, arguably that would be somewhat surprising, because if you go to the game rules here, what we have on is, increased frequency of scourge conquerors, but all heirs inherit. So you would expect for the main heir of a scourge conqueror to get the scourge conqueror trait, but for whatever reason, that simply doesn't always happen. And again, I really don't know why this individual would not inherit. It's surprising to me. I mean, sometimes I think it's personality based. If someone is craven, content, lazy, then they don't get the scourge conqueror trait. But this guy is almost the opposite. Ambitious and zealous, you think would make it more likely. Lustful is probably irrelevant. So, but either way, that's really big news for us. So we don't have to worry as much about what's going on to our west. You can see that his father had conquered England, which is already broken away from him. So again, we're really just focused on the east here and what happens with the Cumans. There'll be a very interesting question of what do we do if the Cuman ruler, this gentleman here, dies and they don't have a scourge conqueror that takes over as heir. And I think we probably don't rejoin the Holy Roman Empire, but so now we're second in line. It's possible we can inherit the Holy Roman Empire even without being a part of it. But as for now, we're just going to wait here a while, try to get the survive through the Black Death. Wife is pregnant again, which is good. We are certainly not going to touch anyone with the Black Death. Well, I guess we'll just let it go. Get the opinion bonus. Did see someone thought someone formed a dissolution faction against me, but there are no factions at the moment. So here we're really just not doing much and waiting for the Black Death to come to an end in our territories. Until it does, there's really not much we can do. Once it does, we'll want to try to reestablish control everywhere we can, as quickly as possible, and rebuild our development. Otherwise, there's nothing to build in our holdings at the moment. So, we'll just save up the gold. Very often you get peasant revolts as a result of the Black Death. At least so far, it doesn't look like that's true for us. Okay, we have a house member who is Herculean, which is very good. See if we can find someone somewhat close to her in age. I guess let's go this intelligent young boy. We've had another son who unfortunately does not have any traits. So the only son we have with any traits is our oldest. His spouse and my tutor has bubonic plague, not likely to survive, so we'll try to find him another intelligent wife soon. For this, I think we can give him a little bit of stress to increase his prowess. We do have this faction pop up, but it doesn't tell us what. Unfortunately, I think that's just a bug sometimes. Where it doesn't show you the faction. Want another intelligent. Okay, so either go with this and I guess let's look to see. That's not, by Crusader King standard, that's not even a risk of inbreeding at all. So, I usually look to see if it's under 4%. I'm usually okay with that. If it gets over 4%, that's when I start getting concerned. I'm going to say this is nonsense. Emerge from seclusion yet. Okay. Did the faction disappear? I'm a bit concerned about this bug. So really not offering much money, but I think we'll give it to him anyway. We have a nickname. Okay one. See, given the chances here, we'll try to take the bet. I'm getting a larger herd and more development growth for Prague. It does look like the Black Death is clearing up. Son gets the Blade Master trait as a result of we having a Blade Master claim knight. Don't really want to get ill. I guess legitimacy would be nice, but no. I'm not sure why we have a regent, and I'm not sure why we can't rule by ourselves. There's nothing I see. We're not incapable or anything of that nature. Maybe that's something to do with the Black Death, but we probably will want to dismiss our entrenched regent when we get a chance. There's a little bit of Black Death in Pilsen. Once that goes away, we will end the capital isolation, and I think we can go with this feast now, so we'll do that. That obviously ends our seclusion. I think we can end the capital isolation as well. Let's do that again. Okay. Again, we have this mystery faction. replace our High Almoner since the current one was terrible. Likewise for our Brewmaster. We want to empty the cellar to keep popular opinion up, try to avoid peasant rebellions. I do wish I would know what this faction is, but I guess we're not going to. We will develop our capital. Obviously, it's stress, but we want to get our development prog back up, and we should get rid of the stress as part of this feast. Don't want to form a rivalry with anyone. We'll improve opinion since our stress is pretty low. Have our brother marry, ideally someone with good genetic traits, I guess is relative here. 3.7 is a bit high, but as talked about before, it's under 4%. We would have changed our vassal's contract, but he's already extortionate, so maybe we just leave that there. Instead, just take the gold straight up. Health bonus from reinvigorating friendship. Do not want to have a rivalry with people. Often there's an event that pops up that says you spend a whole bunch of money and you get faster recovery from the plague. Particularly get bonuses to development growth, but I haven't seen that yet. Maybe it'll come up. So I can end my entrenched regency that we entered into for unclear reasons. Nothing else here to deal with in tips. At this point, because we're still losing money, there's not a whole lot we are able to efficiently do. I don't think I want to go all the way down to Palermo. No. And again, other vassals' coronation, generally not useful. If it's your liege who's holding a coronation, I think it makes sense to go to those, but not just other vassals. Also a little bit leery of traveling because there are obviously still pockets of the Black Death. Looks like this is just a random courtier. I think we will imprison her. Get some gold. Zooming out here to see what the... Oh my. Okay. So, one of the things about playing on these settings is the game can really just turn on a dime. Everything can look safe 1 minute, the next minute you're under a massive threat, or vice versa. 1 minute you can have 2 huge scourge conquerors on both sides of you. A few years later, Black Death happens, there are no scourge conquerors. And so we see here, nope, I was, or you can misclick and get the wrong information. So just for the record, we do still have the Cuman Scourge Conqueror, though he is in poor health. So we'll have to see what happens when he dies. So in fact, nothing has changed. But that does bring up an important point. For nomadic realms, often when you click on them, say they have something like tributaries underneath them, that sometimes you'll click on a tributary rather than the main ruler of the realm. So you want to make sure that you have the actual ruler of the realm and not some relevant person. So we have someone here who wants to submit to our suzerainty. It's like an individual county, happy to take it. Just a little more gold. And then we have this tournament in Holland, which okay, just too dangerous to travel, unfortunately. That's the other thing, is there's probably control everywhere is going to be quite low, meaning that traveling is very dangerous. So that does, put a crimp in our plans to participate in grand tournaments. Other things, we already talked about. There's really not much of a reason to go to coronations unless it's your liege. You can try to seize advantages at a coronation, but generally you seem to get very little in the way of gold or anything else. So I think I ought to start educating these two sons, even though they don't have any genetic traits. Again, you just never know what's going to happen with our main heir. He could easily die. Ideally, we'd have this person, our children, train a martial, but obviously this one, martial, is specifically disadvantaged. So we'll go with a learning education. If he takes over, at least he should be able to get the sanctioned loopholes trait and buy some claims. Wife is having another child. It would be nice if she could have an intelligent male heir, or male child, I should say. Okay, so we get allied with the Polish king. He is getting invaded again by the Cumans. He wants us to join on his side. We can do that. We're not actually going to do anything to help him because nothing we could do is going to make a difference. We would just have our army stack wiped. So we'll accept he's going to lose. Almost certainly he's going to lose before the point where he would say, hey, why are you guys not helping us? So it really doesn't matter to us to join with him. We are getting pretty deep in the wealth focus. The avaricious tree here, at any cost, and avaricious are both very good traits to help generate money. And again, we really need money, or at least we need to get our monthly income back up. It's fallen so much because of low control, low development caused by the Black Death. I think we'll do this, basically the civic ruling here to have the development increase. So one of our daughters died from Black Death. Unfortunately, it was one of the daughters who was intelligent. Could have helped with our genetics program, but nothing to be done. Unfortunately, that caused it to have a mental break, which will either give us permanent frozen grief, either melancholic, apathetic. I think we go with an apathetic simply because it doesn't have a health penalty. It's sort of unfortunate, but obviously that's the way things go. I generally try to avoid getting the negative, stress break characteristics, but sometimes it can't be helped. And again, currently we're just sort of waiting here, trying to rebuild from the Black Death. What we really want is, to get our control back up to 100%, and then we'll just work on rebuilding the development as we can. So we can pay some gold and get a definite, positive benefit, or we can avoid paying gold and get a risk of some random events. I think in this specific circumstance, probably worth paying to get up the positive events. Looks like the young king of Sweden wants to have as a sibling, one of his sisters, marry our Our brother does come with an alliance of 2,500. Oh, he really has very little in the way of troops. Guess let's do it. Guess we'll let her go. One thing, it looks like our realm priest upset with us at this point. Probably better to get his opinion up with us than instead of the Pope, since the Pope is really about getting claims, and we're not really looking for any claims right now. More focused on recovering from the Black Death. Just curious what the Holy Roman Empire is doing. Now we have a son with negative hereditary traits, which of course is the opposite of what we want. So how dangerous is it to go there? Still a lot of dangerous areas. So I think we'll pass on the... Someone trying to steal an artifact from me. I guess besides my weapons, I don't really have anything worth stealing, but... Okay. So, as soon as Poland falls, I think we need to... We need to at least become a tributary of... Actually, let's do that now. Guessing this is too far away and has too many, it's just too dangerous to go. So can we become at least a tributary? I'm at war. Oh, sure. Okay, so as soon as this Polish war is over, we really need to... Okay, stop. Now, the concern, of course, is, we're open for the Cumans to attack us. We don't want to do that. That would be disastrous. We can either submit to him or swear fealty. Coming as tributary gives us more flexibility. We still be able to use holy war, casus belli, for example. It'd be easier to... we could become the swear fealty to another great conqueror if one comes. The relationship in terms of tributary, I believe, ends once the suzerain dies, which he's close to dying. So I think if we can get meager tribute, which we certainly can, that's the best course. It's probably really going to eat into our gold, but again, that's much better than having him attack us. And by being his tributary, virtually assured that he's not going to attack us. I've never seen... Well, it's not allowed by the game rules, to have for a sovereign or suzerain to attack a tributary. I think we want to, yes, stop this perversion, get more control, try to get our control back up, since it was after it was devastated by the Black Death. Okay, it's kind of unfortunate because that Grand Tournament has a lot of events. I think if we tried to go, it's relatively dangerous, not as bad as I thought it would be. But in any case, we wouldn't get there in time, so not worth worrying about it. Again, don't care about coronations. Check how close we are here to getting guild. It's probably going to be delayed because of our low development now. Someone is trying to murder us. That is not good. I say that, I mean, I guess there is almost a question of how much do we care about this character getting murdered. If he does get murdered, then we just go on to our young, intelligent martial character. But I still think we're probably let's just actually you know what, let's just roll with it. Um, yeah, I mean we've currently already built everything. That's really what you want a stewardship character for, is building. Now, when we get guilds, that'll give us another building slot to build in. So we sort of still want this character around. But I mean, if he's murdered, it's not the end of the world. And most likely, this scheme has 0% secrecy. We're going to find out agents, and he's not going to get murdered regardless. We'll just get more piety. And just to be clear here and close the loop, the other option besides doing nothing would be redouble the guards. If I wanted to keep them, if I really wanted to keep them alive, I'd redouble the guards. Minus 100% success chance to murder. Very powerful in preventing your character from being murdered. This I don't really want to do, but I want to avoid a stress break, so this is chronologically incorrect. It should have happened much earlier. Okay, and this is the event I talked about previously. We don't want to change our realm capital. We just will spare no expense to rebuild. Give us a big bonus in getting our development back. Our wife is having another child. This will be our 8th child, which is probably all we're going to get. For kings, you're generally going to get either 7 or 8 children. So if we get the 8th, that's it. We do want him to start endorsing us, so we get the money from church holdings. That's what we'll go for that one. The trader be known to all. So we see, earlier we had a mystery faction that was sort of bugged, and that we would, see the faction icon up here, but wouldn't see anything when we clicked over here. That could have been this peasant faction that apparently is disbanded. Just take the prestige. Just have the dumb nickname. So it looks like the Cumans are invading Hungary now. Kaiser Heinrich was trying to support them and seems to have gotten absolutely stack wiped. He also seems to have disbanded all of his men at arms, presumably because he's in debt. Obviously, this makes me think, if we can tear off a duchy or something from him, this might be the time. Though, if we raised our armies, I mean, it's going to be really expensive, like 36 gold. So we would be, we'd be losing like 5 or 6 gold every month, and that's going to be, our gold is getting more and more positive as we increase control. So let's look around here at, let's see, we still have Nordgau. So let's look around at some of the nearby duchies in the HRE. See if the Pope would give us a claim on them. So this one, if we excommunicate this guy, we could definitely get a claim. Bavaria. He's quite strong, and I assume because he has a positive or virtuous trait, Pope would never agree to excommunicate him. As we talked about before, we're on total exclave independence, which means we're going to focus on conquering places that already border us. We don't want to go look at Lower Lotharingia or anything, because the total exclave independence will cause us to lose all territory that is not connected to our realm by either sea or land when a succession happens. This guy, obviously not very strong at all. Well, actually, but of course that won't matter because, well, let's see, where is he? Is he still in the HRE? Hmm. No, he is in Germany. How strong is Germany? Uh, we're still clearly stronger than them. We still have our Steiermark, and it's probably a lot weaker. And he's still fairly strong, so we could definitely get messing if we wanted to. Let's look about here too. Can we get him excommunicated because he's lustful? We cannot. Oh, he also does have a virtuous trait, which I guess offsets his other trait. Silesia. It's a woman, but she has a virtuous trait. Though she is a fornicator. But yeah, not be able to excommunicate him, so I'm sure he won't give us a claim. Yeah. Okay. Curious about Nitra. I'm guessing. So we could have him excommunicated, but we're not. Okay, well, that's the wrong one. And we would be able to get a claim on Nitra if we excommunicate him. And I guess let's check up let's see where is Upper Silesia as part of the Cumans. Guess we're still allied to him. Okay, so we could get claims on Austria and Nitra. These would be press claims to the Pope, so they would be passed on to our very good Marshal son if we aren't able to take the lands. So I think let's do it. So on this level of difficulty, the Pope is generally less willing to give you claims, and so frequently what you have to do is request excommunication, which costs 500 piety on its own. And after you've done that, then you request a claim from the Pope. So you can see here, we're going to spend 500. Obviously it hurts, but it is what it is. Then we request claim from the Pope. He's now willing to give it to us because he's excommunicated. Now we will do the same thing with Nitra. Get the King of Hungary excommunicated. We'll request a claim on Nitra. Also going to claim on Vicegrad down there. Obviously at the moment, Vicegrad does not border our territory, but if we got Nitra, it would, so that works. It's like our count as part of the murder plot. Let's throw him in jail. So cost quite a chunk of piety, but now we have some claims. Yeah, we don't really need the building construction cost reductions. We're not building much at the moment. Obviously the holding taxes are nice. I think I'd just rather have the gold, another son, who also has no inheritable traits. That is odd. My wife is intelligent, so she does have inheritable traits, but none of our sons have them. Only son we have with inheritable traits is from our first marriage, who, again, he's very strong. Certainly will not mind playing with him, even playing with him quite soon. But until then, we'll just go on with Vratislav II here, who will be useful if we are able to discover guilds, which gives us extra building slot, and we can put this guy in jail, and then we can use Vratislav II's building talents to fill out all those extra slots. The very good book artifact, it really isn't that good. I think I just rather want the gold. You can see we're up to 26 gold and still increasing. We won't arrive in time, so no reason to worry about it. Don't want to go to other people's coronations. Just check the tips here to see. We've almost re-established control in Prague. Neither of those alliances is worth anything. So we'll just continue here. Like we've talked about before, I'm not really interested in laying with other women. That gives rise to a secret. Could get disclosed and cause me to lose level of devotion, which would hurt getting claims like I just did with the Pope. I guess we could get this pressed peony. We lost our royal architect. Also probably someone that we can automate. Somehow my daughter has lover's box, but I don't even know who. I'm just generally confused. I probably should have broken that betrothal. But it's done now. Baron in jail. Looks like the Cumans are conquering Bavaria. Yep. So again, I think we made a very good decision in terms of breaking free of the HRE and then becoming the tributary of the Cumans. And so we will continue on. Our wife has got pregnant again. Mildly surprising for the reasons discussed earlier. Let's leave him in prison for a while. Extort our subjects because gold is good. So, I usually don't like this option because of the incredible control drop. This one, there's a big popular opinion loss. If they would have a peasant uprising, I'll deal with it. Okay. So before attacking, so we lost our personal physician. Let's replace him. Let's do that immediately. Do not have someone who's at least good, so we will have to recruit. Really do want a good personal physician. Probably can do advanced research now, which gives me monthly lifestyle experience, very useful. Replace our high almoner. I think we can automate that. So I want to wait before attacking. using any of our claims against Austria and Nitra until those wars were resolved. We now know that the Cumans have finished them off, and here is one sort of interesting trick I think that should work here. Interesting to have a truce with that guy. So for most of CK3, if you want to take even the tiniest county from a huge realm, you'd have to face the military and army of the ultimate ruler of that realm, which often be extremely strong, as it is here for the Cumans. But now the way the rules work is, I believe, if the realm size is 160 or more, then the realm is always forced to be what's called conditional join. That means that vassals themselves can be attacked. So instead of having to fight the ultimate overlord of a realm, you can just focus on some much smaller vassal, usually with a much smaller army. And so that, presumably, Paradox added that to try to prevent the player from snowballing. This player gets some huge realm, 200, 300, 400 more counties. It allows the AI to pick off counties in that realm more easily. But of course, on our settings, when you have these giant Scourge Conqueror realms, it also allows the player to go in and get some counties and duchies from these very large Scourge Conquerors to attack the vassals underneath them. And that is very likely what we're going to do, though that will be something we do next episode, as we've been playing for quite a while here. So again, thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.